Welcome back to Strawberry Ink, where we dive deep into the most compelling true crime stories and the battles for justice that follow. I'm your host, Santiago, and today we're discussing a case that forever changed the world: the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and the legal battles that followed. In today's episode, we're taking a closer look at three pivotal lawsuits that questioned the circumstances surrounding Dr. King's death. Seeking justice and answers, these lawsuits were the King family's way of continuing to fight the truth. These lawsuits were the King family's way of continuing to fight for truth, even after Dr. King's tragic murder. Let's explore them, starting with the first one, filed just 1 year after the assassination. Lawsuit number 1, the 1969 lawsuit by the King family. The King family, devastated by the loss of Dr. King, took immediate action to hold accountable those responsible for his death. In 1969, just a year after Dr. King was assassinated, Coretta Scott King, alongside other members of the family, filed a civil lawsuit. Their aim was simple: to ensure that James Earl Ray, the man who pleaded guilty to Dr. King's murder, was held accountable. But the lawsuit wasn't just about Ray. Coretta and her family were concerned that there were broader forces at play in the assassination, a theory that would grow in prominence in the later years. For now, though, the focus was on James Earl Ray. Ray's guilty plea in March 1969 had already solidified his role in the crime. But the family wanted to make sure that justice was served beyond the individual and that no one else was involved in the conspiracy to Dr. King. The King family's legal strategy was based on the belief that Ray was merely a scapegoat, possibly manipulated into carrying out the murder. The civil lawsuit didn't go as far as the family hoped, but it set the stage for further legal challenges that would come in the following decades. Lawsuit number 2, the 1999 civil lawsuit, the conspiracy case. Fast forward to 1999, a full 3 decades after Dr. King's death, and the King family was still fighting for justice. By this point, the family's suspicions of a larger conspiracy had grown. The idea that James Earl Ray acted alone was no longer accepted by many, including Coretta Scott King, who had spent years publicly expressing her doubts. In 1999, Coretta Scott King, along with other members of the King family, filed another civil lawsuit, this time with a shocking twist. The lawsuit didn't just focus on James Earl Ray, but rather it accused the U.S. government, including the FBI and other agencies, of being complicit in Dr. King's assassination. The King family's claim was bold. They alleged that Ray wasn't acting alone, but was part of a larger conspiracy, and that the government played a role in orchestrating the murder. They argued that Ray had been manipulated by higher-ups, possibly as part of a government cover-up to silence Dr. King. The trial was a landmark moment in the search for justice for Dr. King. A jury was convened to hear the case, and in a dramatic turn of events, the jury sided with the King family, suggesting that a conspiracy may have existed, and that the U.S. government was involved in covering up the true predators. However, the government firmly denied any involvement, and the civil case didn't lead to any criminal prosecutions. Still, the verdict ignited intense debate about the true nature of Dr. King's assassination. Lawsuit 3, James Earl Ray's legal battle to overturn his conviction. While the King family sought justice in the courts, James Earl Ray himself spent years trying to undo his conviction. Ray's fight for exoneration began almost immediately. After he pleaded guilty in 1969, he claimed that he had been coerced into admitting guilt and that he was part of a larger conspiracy. Ray always maintained that he was innocent, and he spent much time behind bars, filing appeals and legal motions. Ray's defense attorneys worked tirelessly to build a case for his innocence, arguing that he had been manipulated by someone else to take the fall for Dr. King's murder. In the 1970s and again in the 1990s, Ray filed appeals seeking to withdraw his guilty plea, but each effort was unsuccessful. The court constantly rejected his claims, and Ray remained in prison until his death in 1998. The most notable attorney involved in Ray's defense was Percy Foreman, a well known Houston lawyer who helped handle Ray's appeal attempts. Foreman and other defense lawyers tried to argue that Ray had been forced to confess due to intimidation and pressure from law enforcement. Despite Ray's persistent appeals, the legal system ultimately upheld his conviction. The mystery of whether Ray acted alone or was part of a conspiracy remains unresolved to this day. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s funeral, held on April 9, 1968, was a monumental event that brought people from all over the world to honor his legacy. It was attended by dignitaries, leaders, and citizens alike, and the emotional service reflected the profound loss felt by millions. But while Dr. King's funeral was a ceremony of remembrance, James Earl Ray's death and burial were marked by far less reverence. After Ray's passing in 1998, his body was cremated, and it was reported that his remains were scattered at his family's request. His death marked the end of his legal battle, but for the King family, the fight for justice never truly ended. Through these lawsuits, the King family sought not just justice for the death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but the truth behind one of the most shocking events in American history. Were the authorities involved in his assassination? Was James Earl Ray truly the lone gunman, or was he a pawn in a larger scheme? As we reflect these cases, the unanswered questions remained. Was Dr. King's death simply the work of one man, or was it a part of a large conspiracy? And ultimately, what is the true story behind his assassination? Thank you for joining me on this journey through the legal battles surrounding Dr. King Jr.'s death. This is just one piece of the puzzle, and the search for justice continues even today. Stay tuned for more stories on Strawberry Ink. Have a good rest of your day.